treatment will take longer time, and it may even end failure. Padi is the only one God, and the souls are innumerable. It is the heart of the Saivam that there is only one God. There is only one God, that is Lord Shivam, Padi. Padi. If you don't want to say it in name, you can call it as Paravali, Padi. That is the only God, only one God. Saivam insists on that. Saivam never says that so many gods are there, so many Padis are there. No, not at all. So many ways of worshipping him have been recommended. That's all. But Padi is only one. Lord Shiva is the only God, and the souls are innumerable. Padi, no need to be educated by any other source, and he is aware of everything, anything, at any time. That is the criteria that about God that we have to be able to understand. That is, Padi. What about Padi? Padi need not be told, or need not be educated. He knows everything at every time, at everywhere. That is the grammar of Padi that Saivam is dictating. The grammar of soul is, soul will be able to understand only if supported by external tools and internal source. See, we are talking so many things, we are seeing so many things, we are enjoying so many things, but once the body gets separated from the soul plunges into darkness. It is not able to understand, witness anything in this world. So once it gets connected to the external body, if it is connected to the external eye, if it is connected to the ear, it is able to see, it is able to hear. All these things are possible only if the soul is attached to the body. Suppose if you go to sleep, the body is temporarily disconnected from the soul. There are about 35 links. Saivam claims there are 35 links between the soul and the body, out of which, when you go to the sleep mode, what happens is, from wake up mode, dream mode, then from dream mode you go to sleep mode. If you go to sleep mode, 32 links are detached. You are there only with the three basic links, and that is as if the man is considered to be dead. உறங்குவது போலும் சாக்காடு, உறங்கி விழித்தலும் போலும் பிறப்பு. He is there with only three links, as if he is dead. Only with a trigger he comes back to the dream state and finally to the wake up state. So you just understand, the soul is there within the body, but it is not able to see. The soul doesn't go to sleep at all. By mistake we are saying that the soul is sleeping. Not at all. Soul doesn't have sleep. It doesn't have night. It doesn't have day. No such things for the soul. The soul is within the body. The body alone has all these changes. So the body, when you go to the sleep mode, it takes rest. Once it takes rest, it is being detached. It is being detached from the soul. That's what we say, 32 links are detached. So once you go to sleep mode, even though you are within your body, you are not able to interact with this world. You are not able to interact with this world. What happened to the soul? Just it is plunging into the darkness. It is plunging into darkness. So we are able to clearly know that the soul is able to communicate or interact with this world only with this body. Even though we say it as a body, we call it as tattvas, that is tools. The eye is a tool, and ear is a tool, nose is a tool, tongue is another tool. So we are talking about 5 tools with wisdom, 5 tools without wisdom. Kai, kaal, eruvai, hand, leg, all these things. So out of the tools, even though you have the tools, you are not able to operate them because you are disconnected temporarily. So a temporary disconnection is going on in the sleep mode. The sleep mode. So what do we infer from this? We observe that soul is able to communicate, interact in this world only with this body. Who gave you this body? Who gave you this body? We say that the body is given by parents only. See, we have come through the parents, not from the parents. If you just analyze, you will be able to understand. The soul has come from father to mother, and the mother has given birth to the child, to this world. But if you understand the basic concept that soul gets this body out of this world, only out of this world it gets this body. So out of the five elements, land, uh, water, fire, and then air, and then the space. All these five basic elements make this body. ஐந்து பூதங்களால் ஆனது இந்த உடம்பு. The body, whole body is made out of five elements. The whole prapancham is made out of five elements. So the five elements are made out of body. Five elements, the prapancham is made out of five elements. Both of them are compatible. Both of them are compatible. So whatever made out of five elements, your senses will sense. If the things are not made out of five elements, then your senses will not be able to sense them. So they are compatible. They are compatible. So once you must be able to understand this fact, then the compatibility is only between the body or the tools and the world. The compatibility is not there. Using the tools, we cannot see the God at all because it is not compatible. God is not made out of these five elements. Then how can you claim that I want to see God by naked eye, I want to hear from Him? Those things are not at all possible. Unless otherwise He comes to this world and assumes a form of these five elements. We cannot see Him. We cannot hear Him. So people cannot claim that using their senses made out of five elements to see God. God is not made out of these five elements. Only this world is made out of five elements. So we are seeing another person. We are seeing the body of another person. The body of another person. We are able to hear the sound of another person made out of five elements of this world. That is why we are communicating. But we are not seeing the soul of that man, of that person. We are not realizing the soul of that person. So you understand, the soul also cannot be seen by these five elements. So the body is made out of five elements, and this is compatible only to see things which are made out of five elements. The external tools provided by the Lord are inanimate, formed out of Maya, an inert energy source in accordance with our karma. I have just given out the basic concepts here, basic concepts of Saivam here. If you are interested understanding these basic concepts, you can go into the inner details. There are so many books in English explaining the Saivasithantha. So many scholars have written books on Saivasithantha. They are very much convinced about the sanctity and the sincerity of the Saivasithantha. So be proud of the Saivasithantha that you are belonging to, and you have inherited the very proud and logical concept of the world philosophies. The internal source, the external tools provided by the Lord are inanimate, formed out of Maya, an inert energy source in accordance with our karma. So we are behaving this world. Our actions are determined. Suppose we plan something. Sometimes it may go wrong. It may not happen what we planned already. It may end up in something different, which we may not be liking. Why did it happen like that? You mix with some person, you believe him, One day or other, he shows his true color. Then you are getting frustrated. What happens in your decision? All these things just to think of. So the whole life, what we say is, it is being designed by your earlier actions. Your earlier actions have reactions. Those reactions you cannot escape. Whatever you do, you have to reap the harvest. Whatever you seed, you have to, whatever seed you sow, you have to reap the harvest. So whatever you do, the reaction, you must be ready to receive it. Sometimes the reaction comes immediately, sometimes it takes a longer time. So what Saivam dictates is, our life is dictated, and the whole life is dictated by our past actions. Past actions in the past births also, we can say that past actions, though whatever I take in the lunch, it gives me the result in the night. Likewise, whatever I do it in this birth, the results are awaiting and coming to me, the reactions are coming to me. Newton's third law is, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So, however, whatever we do here, whatever do here, there is a reaction. I cannot say that it is opposite, but still, any action has a reaction here. So, your whole life is being designed by your past reactions, past reaction. Then what is the privilege or liberty do we have? That we have to think about. See, the things you cannot prevent from happening. Whatever things that come, it will come, and you have to face it. When you face it, how do you behave? That is the liberty, that is the privilege you have. Whenever you face something, whether you are out of nuts, or are you going nuts, or are you study, or you are able to study the phenomena, and you get convinced that it is not because of somebody, it is because of my past deed, I am reaping this harvest, and I will go on developing love. Still, I am not worried about these things. Your action is very, very important. That is the privilege, that is the freedom you have. The behavior is your freedom. The things come in your life is not your freedom. It is predetermined and pre-planned. That is definitely it will come. You have done so many things in this life also. All things are not judged immediately. We are doing some mistakes. We are doing some crimes. We are doing some harms to others. And still we are not being punished immediately. But those things, what will happen? Will they be wiped out? Will they be wiped out? No, not at all. Their reactions will be there. Their reactions will be being important to you, or will be sent back to you. But who will give? Unless otherwise there is a fact that God is there. He only watches, He only studies, He only records. எழுதும் கீழ்கணக்கு இன்னம்பரிசன். He only records. He is the only person recording the facts, and He is the only person giving back the reactions to the right person at the right time, at the right place. He will be able to give. That is why we are saying that God is empowered to do, and He is the most powerful, most King of Kings, Lord of Lords, we say, because He is imparting, He is delivering the reactions. He is delivering the reactions. Whatever we do, whether we are penalized in this world, we are being punished in this world, or whether we are being punished in this world, it is immaterial. Your action will have its own reaction, and that will come to you. And He is the person feeding the result or reaction to you. At the time of receiving the result, what is your behavior? That is the life. That is where you must decide how to behave. Suppose somebody does harm to you. Somebody does harm to you. You come to know. You are not able to punish him. Then you are getting wild about him. You are very harsh about him, and you are developing enmity towards him. In that way, that you are developing further deeds, and you are making yourself that receivable of all those reactions once again. It is a cyclic nature. You do something, it brings you something, you just behave according to that. Again, you are creating actions. That actions bring you the reactions. The cycle of this thing will make you come to this world again and again, taking births and suffering. So to cut the chain of births and to get liberated from the sufferings and to get the bliss of Lord Shiva, you have to get the chain de-linked. How do we do it? By way of behaving, developing the love, even though you may receive something that you have not expected, but even in that circumstances, develop love. It may be very difficult to hear that, but it is the only way to see. It's very difficult to get a Pada Malva, but we have to do something hard, some hard work to get Pada Malva if you want to cook in the home itself. Or if you want to get a stomach ache, we can get it from the shop also or the hotel also. So whatever we do, we have to repeat. Whatever we eat, we have to digest. Even though I love my wife very much, she cannot digest something that I have eaten. Only I have to digest whatever I did. Whatever I did, I have to take back the reaction. The reaction will definitely come back. You cannot escape. You cannot passport and a visa and run away to some other country. There it will wait for you to receive you. So the thing that thus Lord Shiva gives external tools of out of Maya, all those things we have explained, and this life is short-lived, and the soul, after its external extinct, it's very important, plunges into darkness. Whenever we get fainted, where do we go? Whenever we get fainted, the body is detached once again from the soul. The soul plunges into darkness. It doesn't know where it is. Once it is coming out of the faintness, when it is wake up, then it just asks the question, where am I? He is asking the question. It is because the soul once gets detached from the soul, from the body, it plunges into darkness. The total life is very short. Once we leave the body, the soul goes to darkness, definitely. That is the thing that we are witnessing now. For temporary phenomena, for a temporarily, if the soul leaves the body, it goes to darkness. What will happen if the soul permanently leaves the body? Or where were it originally before coming to this life? It was in the darkness. It was only brought to this world by offering this body. So the light has been given by the Lord to know the facts, not to idle away our time in this world. There are so many things attracting us. But still, we must have patience and enough time to think over why I have come to this world. What is the purpose of my life? How can I escape from these miseries? Do I want to come back to this world once again? It is full of miseries and sufferings. It is full of stress. Why should I come here? Is there a life that lives peacefully and joyfully? And is there a life like that? Can we try for that? What do my elders say? What do my ancestors derive? All those things we must have some time to ponder over, and we must think about it. We must spend some time before taking any decision. Spend some time for the brooding. Don't jump to a conclusion immediately when you hear something. No, it's wrong. Don't come to that conclusion. You give some time. You just gestation. You must give time. You must think it over. You must also analyze the sayings of our ancient elders. They have what they have told about these things. How do they give us now all these things? What did their experience at that time? How did they experience all those things? You please give time You may be busy the whole day. At least you can give some time, because we have our ancestors, our mentors, Tiriyana Sambandar, gurus, Jnana gurus. They are Tiriyana Sambandar, Tirunavukarasar, Tirunambiyarurar, and then Tirumanivasakar. When I was entering this morning in this hall, I heard someone singing Tiruvanikal Tirupugal. Very nice Tirupugal. I was very much delighted to hear that Tirupugal. So, our Tiriyana Sambandar, Tirunavukarasar, Tirunambiyarurar, they have recited, they have given us Devaram. And Tirumanivasakar has given us Tiruvasagam. And it is being appreciated by so many people. Tiruvasagam, even the Christian scholars, they have gone through it and they have said that Tiruvasagam, once recited, it gives the personal feel and experience, and it gives the peace of mind like any other thing. It makes to feel the bliss of Lord Shiva, Lord. So that is the experience by not our religion mentors, but other religion mentors also. They have told. G. Pope, he has told that there is no such book equivalent to Tiruvasakam. They have gifted us Lord Shiva's grace, and he has also faced a trial because of this statement in England. They have gifted us by Lord Shiva's grace, Tirumurais full of Thotirams, graced for the praise of Lord Shiva. Okay, now the Tirumurai consists of Devaram, 7 volumes, Devaram 7 volumes, and Tiruvasagam 1 volume, Tiruvisaipa, Tirupallandu 1 volume, Tirumandiram 1 volume. As a matter of fact, Tirumandiram 3 volumes, 1 volume we can say, 11th Tirumurai 1 volume and Periya Puranam 1 volume. That's 12 volumes in total. We have the treasure. They are, of course, in Tamil. At least you must steal some time or squeeze your busy schedule and get some time to go through some of the collections of these 12 Tirumurais. Even though you are not able to go into the inner Tirumurais, you can just get some of the collections are available. You can read 1 or 2 and experience yourself. We also have 4 Sandhanacharyas. They have written the grammar of the literature. That is Megandar. That is called Sithantha Nulgal. That is what is the relationship between the Padi and Pasu, Pasu and Pasam. What is the relationship between Padi and Pasam? All these things are being discussed in Sandhanacharya's Megandar, Arunandi Shivam, Maranyana Sambandar, Umapati Shivam. They have done beautiful works, 14 in number, in 14 number. And those volumes are also available for us to understand the grammar of Saivasithantha, the grammar of Saivasithantha. So the Devaram is called, Devaram Tiruvasagam is called Thotiram, and the other things are called Sastiram. Sathiram. Thotiram means the Ilakyam, literature. Sastiram means grammar. The grammar, the basic relationship between us and this world, we must be able to understand. See, we are still at loss to know what is our real relationship to this world. How long we are connected to this world. Why we are connected to this world. Why this duration. When did we connect, being connected to this world? All these things we have to ask ourselves, and these questions are answered in our grammar. With this, I am just concluding my introduction speech, and there are other programs following this. I think I have done up to 10. I am supposed to cover up to 10:15, but I have crossed my time limit, it seems. Anyway, I have given you some points you might have noted, and you must be willing to discuss with yourselves, and you may be willing to ask some questions. I am saying that I am declaring that I don't have answers for all your questions. because I am somebody like you. So I have gone through the things. I have been taught by the Lordship. The things that I know have been taught by my Lord. Whatever I say, it is being given inner sight. That I am explaining you. Suppose if you ask some question, if I don't have any answer, I will try to find an answer for that question and answer you. Don't hesitate to ask any question, but let it be relative to and relevant to Saiva Siddhantam. That is my humble request. With this, I am just concluding this introduction speech. Be blessed. Thank you. Tiruchitrambalam.
Thank you very much, Ayah. You have been given a very difficult task of trying to concise the concepts of Saiva Sithantha, which is within this short time, but you have done a fantastic job. I will ask for questions. There will be a time later for everyone to ask questions from Ayah, and as he said, he will try and answer all of them. But now we move. Before I move on to the speeches by two brilliant young boys, I have got a couple of other announcements, which is that I should have done it earlier, but I forgot. Please, it's about your mobile phones. Please make them in silent or switch them off, and that will be handy. So the next one is the going to be by two speeches by two young friends of ours, and the first one is Saravanan Sivakumar. He is from Sydney. He has been involved with the temple over there, and also he, as a group of youngsters, joined together producing podcasts about Hinduism and the youth of Australia and New Zealand, because they are born here and in a different environment, and how the Hindu concepts fits in there. They are doing podcasts, so that will be interesting to hear from him. He has kindly asked me not to mention his qualifications. He's a doctor, so I should mention that in spite of his objections. So I will invite Saravanan Sivakumar to say whatever he wants to say.
Vanakkam, Ayah. Hello, vanakkam. I'm gonna speak to you in English. It'll be a bit more eloquent, and I wouldn't stop and start as much. My Tamil isn't as strong as it used to be. First of all, I just want to thank the Saivasithantha Centre for allowing me to speak here today. Coming all the way from Sydney, I just happened to be here in town and was invited to speak as well. Also wanted to thank Sivakumar Aiyah for his lectures throughout this week, as well as for speaking to us today and taking time out of his day for us. So just a little bit about myself. As Uncle said, I've been involved in the temple back home in Sydney. I was born and raised here in Australia, and from a young age, I was taken to Saiva scripture classes at the temple, the Sydney Moran Temple, and it was through there I developed my main relationship with God and through Hinduism. And I've also had the privilege of attending Satyasai Baba classes as well for a few years, and had education through that. And also, I had a wonderful mentor during my high school who was also one of my science teachers, and I think that was a very big and very fundamental part of my upbringing as a Hindu and as a Saivite as well. And I was asked to speak today about some of the issues that youth face with trying to develop their relationship with God and their relationship with Hinduism in particular. And Sivakumar Aiyah did point out early in his speech a lot of the things and a lot of the struggles that we go through. One of which is the language barrier. Most of us here are Tamil native speakers, and all of our parents, grandparents grew up in an environment where Tamil was cultivated. Tamil was the language you spoke. It was very well cultivated, and you're able to make your connections to God through that. And I've been privileged, and I'm sure many of the youth here as well have been privileged to learn Tamil here in a country like Australia. But some of our peers aren't as fortunate, and even as someone as myself, who have learnt Tamil, still struggle to make that connection because a lot of our texts, such as the Tirumura that Sivakumar Aiyah mentioned, all of that is in Tamil. And as much as we read and as much as we sing like Thevarams at the temple and whatnot, it's still very difficult for us to often to make those connections because we never truly explore the full meanings of what they say. Um, and not only that, so as Uncle said, I'm recently started a podcast with a couple of my peers where we try to look at how being a Hindu has affected our upbringing, and also just try and look into a lot of the questions that we still have growing up as Hindus in an Australian or in a Western society in particular. And even amongst that, we also find the language barrier a really big issue when it comes to prayer at the temple. As we all witness that Ayers at the temple, they use they perform pujas and prayers in Sanskrit, all of which is not quite familiar to us at all. And that it's both the difficulty that many youth have with Tamil and as well as Sanskrit contribute to a lot of us finding a difficulty with making that connection. Um, the other thing that I find is quite a potent source of why youth don't have the connection as much as our parents and our grandparents do with Hinduism comes from a lot of our education, and that primarily coming from mainstream schools. Now, it's a great privilege to grow up in an Australian society, in a Western society, with a lot of the comfort that we have from daily life. But as much as with that, we also exposed to a lot of Western philosophy and Western thinking. Um, Myself, as Uncle said, I have completed my studies in medicine, and from that itself, I pride myself in being a student of science, and that was itself cultivated from early high school. As being a student of science, we always look for the cause and effect. We want to know why one thing leads to another, leads to another, and so on and so forth. And with being in a Western society or being in Australia and being a student of science, we're often able to find those absolute connections between one step to the other. In that process, we also learnt to think very critically, and it's a beauty in that we are able to ask the questions why and have the freedom to ask why things happen, why this is the way it is, what is the meaning, like what is that, what is this. And I'm pretty sure as many of the parents in this room will agree that at some point it would have been very frustrating for when your children come up to you and ask you what is this, what is that, well, why are we doing this, why are we doing that. And naturally the response with some parents is it's the way that it happens, it's the way that we do things, it's just the way that it is. And obviously for us as at a younger age, we always took that as our parents just don't know, they like it doesn't mean anything, it's all made up, they're just doing it because their parents did it and their parents before them and so on and so forth. And I think that's where a lot of at that point in that adolescent period where people like in high school and university, that's the juncture point where a lot of youth detract themselves from Hinduism or detract themselves from religion, their connection to spirituality. Because unfortunately, with not just the migration of our parents into Australia, but also just with the loss of a lot of our history over the last few centuries, we've lost a lot of that the true understanding, the true meanings of our scriptures. And only, especially for myself and some of my peers, we've realized that's the reason why our parents were unable to answer those questions. So it's it's a privilege for us to be able to ask those questions: why, and what, and how. But it's just unfortunate that we're unable to have those answers on our fingertips. As much as we like to look up on our mobile phones and see all those questions as well, even some of the deeper questions that I'm sure many of the youth will have to bring up in the session to come. A lot of that requires a lot of internal reflection and introspection. Now, as I come to the end of what of my speech, it's we the connection that we try to make with God is always a personal journey, and I think with the youth of this day and age, yes, many have moved away, but I know with my personal journey as well, I went through a similar path, and one of my mentors and my science teachers from high school, he was able to educate me both on our Western and Eastern philosophies. And as much as with a lot of Western philosophy and Western ideals and Western thinking is to critique and look at how and why, it always looks at the very minute details and the very small things. But he also enabled me to start looking through an Eastern philosophy lens, and so starting to look more through Hinduism, with what is to look at the bigger picture. As much as we want to, and when looking at the bigger picture, you look both internally and externally, within and without. And I think what, as youth of today, our main aim is not only to look at the small things and the small details, but be able to take that step back and look at the bigger picture as well. And in doing so, in time, we don't have to rush into it, but we will inevitably form our relationships with religion, with spirituality, and with God itself. And I hope that in today's session as well, like Sivakumar Aiyah will be able to answer several of our questions. Obviously, I will give forewarning that some of them may be a bit too hard and too difficult, but we'll always appreciate any sort of guidance that we have, because that's as I said earlier, we may not have the texts, but we'll always appreciate any sort of understanding, any sort of knowledge that comes from our elders. And in concluding today, I want to thank you all for listening, and thank you again for coming today, and thank you for the Saivasithantha Centre for letting me speak. And thank you very much. If you also with I know Uncle said mentioned my podcast. It is called Quality Hindu. Bit of a pun, because being from Australia, we have koalas, but it's still trying to get quality Hindu content. If you do have any questions about that, especially for some of the youngsters, be free to ask me during the break or anything. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Saravanan. That's one of the great speeches coming from the youth of Australia and New Zealand, or I think all diaspora, Tamil diaspora youths. They struggle with this, and I agree. I think he hit the nail on the head when he said when he was young and asked questions from parents, and parents are not able to provide the answers, and that's a fact. And the reasons are very wide. Goes back to migration and the parents themselves were unable to get the grasp of these things that's why organization like ours, the Saivasithantha Center, is trying to assist in that regard, that parents are capable of answering some basic questions from the children and the grandchildren. So we'll get there. The next speaker is a brilliant fellow from Melbourne. He's a year 12 student at Helensburgh. He has just done, year 11 student at Helensburgh. Year 10, he has done the VCE Tamil language exam through the VTA Tamil School, which we all are proud of, and he has done successfully with distinctions. So I'd like to congratulate him on that, and because that's a great effort. I myself was involved in VCE Tamil for a long time. So I invite Mahesh Namasivayam, whom you have seen singing Panjapuranam for us at the start, to come and say a few words.
Thank you, and also thank you to Sivakumar Aiyah for your great speech to start the day. I'm sure you all found something useful in that. First, a little bit about myself. As you know, I'm Mahesh. I just finished year 10 at Haileybury, and I did VC Tamil this year. And unlike Sarun and Anna, I didn't really do any Saivam classes or anything like that when I was little. I was just, I was just that kid who kept following his appa around the temple, and was there all the time. So I was that was my surrounding when I was younger. I didn't really do any classes or any formal learning. It was just based off where I was and what I was doing. And that's led me to a few different things. So I was asked to speak today about like what my involvement and my upbringing has like done for me, and the chances that it's given me as a Sri Lankan kid who was born in Melbourne and was raised in Melbourne. So first of all, from the perspective of the Saivasithantha Center, when they launched the English translation of Arumuga Navalar's Saiva Vinavide, I was given a chance to speak there as part of a 4-person discussion panel, which where we spoke about like I guess the importance of bringing this book to the community, and especially because so many Sri Lankan Australian youth are who only speak English and haven't had the chance to learn the Tamil language, and how important the publication of the book was. And when that was one of the first major events that I spoke at, and that was when I realized that being involved with the temple and being involved with my language and my religion was, I guess, like it was a really great opportunity for me to both further myself and also further the cause of Tamil and Hinduism in Melbourne. And the other thing is, I guess my religion and like traditions have helped me with my Tamil studies as well. In my family, we have a tradition of seeing the Pilliyar Kadai at the Vakratunda Vinayagar temple every single year. My wonderful appa over there goes every single day to the coil without fail, cancels everything else, and sings the Pilliyar Kadai. And he started me as well when I was 12, starting from small parts, and that's really helped me with my Tamil study and also understanding like my traditions, where I come from, what I'm here to do. And he's also started my younger brother Kailash with that as well. And it's really it's helped me to keep my family traditions going at the same time, learning my language, learning the customs, and I guess it's those opportunities have all come to me because I had the chance to study Tamil from a young age. So to all the youths in this room, if you're really keen on furthering the cause of Tamil and furthering the cause of Saivam, I guess, the greatest help that you can give to yourself is to study Tamil. And I would really recommend that. There's many little kids in this room who probably have only started speaking a couple of years ago. So if you get the chance, I would definitely recommend studying Tamil. It's very rewarding, and and also through my Tamil studies when I was at part of the academy in East Burwood, we had a wonderful teacher called Jaya teacher who used to teach us life lessons, and we always called it Hinduism, but it was more like, I guess, she always called it life classes, or like, I'm not sure how to put this, I'm sorry, but like she used to tell us myths and stories, like the most common one, the story of Pilliyar and Murugan and the mango, and she'd always intertwine them and teach us lessons that we can carry forward for a few years, and that really helped me to further my knowledge in Hinduism and in Tamil customs as well. So I guess that's where my foundation came from, and it's given me lots of opportunities. And specifically, a big thank you to the Saivasithantha Centre of Victoria for consistently involving me and giving me these chances to speak at these events. I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and hopefully, the next generation is able to keep carrying Saivam and Tamil forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahesh. That was a great speech. I just wanted to thank Mr. Namasivayam, your dad, for introducing, and your son now, because this is one of the things that we lack within our community, because we think studying Tamil is not necessary, or studying Saivam is not necessary. But you are a classic example of how these things have helped you, and by the time you finish your university, all the students, they finish your university, if you can get involved in learning Saivam, I know the Tamil language, you need to know some Tamil, but there are a lot of English literature around about Saivam and Saiva philosophy, so you can expose yourself. Science will tell you how things work, but Saivam will tell you why things need to work like that. So it's the difference. And why is it that? Why is it that? And that kind of questioning from youth, science always deals with how things work. So that's a difference. And next, we ask all the youngsters here in the youth group to form a little circle in this corner, and all the adults can move that side, and you can discuss among yourselves. Nobody, because you could be meeting first time, you could have different backgrounds. So about half an hour or 45 minutes, discuss among yourselves, and then we will come back and join with you all, and then we can ask questions from Sivakumar Aiyah. And in the meantime, the adults, they can help themselves with some tea and coffee and some food, and relax yourself. You want to go to outside and enjoy a little bit of breeze, and that'll be good. Those who have not registered for the workshop can do so now, and if those who haven't paid can pay now. Thank you.